guys, welcome back to Wild Nights, your favorite show where we talk about everybody's wildest night. I'm your host, Trey Getling. Today I've got a really cool guest with me. Very unique, very cool style too. That's one thing you guys will notice as soon as she opens her mouth and you see her look. She's got a very unique style and she's a very interesting person. So that person today is Artemis. Artemis, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
I would say I'm living the dream, but it's really like double that, dude. Life is great today. So, Artemis, I know backstage we kind of talked a little bit, and you've got some like very, very interesting stories. Before we get into those stories, though, I always like to ask my guests to just kind of introduce themselves and tell my viewers a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you're from, and whatever you think they should know about you.
Alrighty, well, sounds good. I can do that. Hey guys, I'm Artemis and I'm from Boise, Idaho, but my family is originally from Russia, so I am Russian. Um, and then I really, really love singing, exploring new places, and reading books.
Very cool. Very cool. So no, I actually did not. That's so fascinating. I did not know your family was from Russia. So were you born in Boise, Idaho, or were you born in Russia and you immigrated?
So I was actually born in Sun Valley, Idaho, and I just moved to Boise here a little bit ago. But it was actually my mother. She was brought into the United States, and also my dad immigrated directly from Russia himself.
Very cool. Very cool. So that's actually quite the contrast to not only Russia and Idaho, but Sun Valley and Boise. So I'm fairly new to Idaho myself. Like I love this state. I am new, so I have a lot to learn, but I've been to Sun Valley twice now. And let's just say this is really kind of the wealthy part of Idaho, I feel like. Is that generally is that generally correct?
Yeah, it is. It's frequented by a lot of stars like Clint Eastwood, Demi Moore, some of those big names like that. So definitely a really popular hotspot for celebs.
Okay. Okay. And our next celeb from Boise, Artemis, she could have her story have started in Sun Valley as well, too.
I
So,
suppose that's true.
so you sang in Sun Valley, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay. What type of singing do you typically do?
I usually do more of a pop genre. I also write my own music, and it's more of a thoughtful, it's about all the trauma I've been through with men or with fake friends, kind of just trying to target more of an audience that I relate to. A lot of things that aren't spoke about today, especially with the norms going on in 2024.
Can you kind of build on that a little bit?
Yeah. I would mainly say just speaking out as a woman, there's definitely a lot of things that don't get talked about. There's a lot of pressures we're under. We need to put on lipstick to feel good. We need to put on the pretty dress, show our bodies. And I just kind of like to write about how to be yourself in the most true and genuine way without having to be what the world wants you to be.
That's really refreshing because, when you listen to a lot of music, it is so cookie cutter today, I feel like. It's all like super pop culture. Um, but it sounds like to me like the music you're making actually has a meaning to you. And that's really important because there's just not enough of that in the world. Okay, so let's back up a little bit. Love the fact that you sing, so unique that that you have some Russian heritage. But help me understand like the difference from Sun Valley and Boise. Like what have you seen so far kind of coming from Sun Valley to Boise?
Number one, traffic is terrible.
Boise, Idaho traffic is terrible, FYI. I don't care where you're at. You're probably thinking Boise, Idaho, there's like what? Corn on the road? There is traffic, guys. I promise you. Keep going.
So mainly the traffic, income levels are a lot, like you get paid a lot less over here, but it also costs a lot less to live over here. Since I've been here, I've seen an increase in the economy. Definitely, inflation is crazy. Um, People are also there's so many people here from so many walks of life. In Sun Valley, there's kind of the stereotype person. Like everybody walking down the street kind of has a sense, the same sense of fashion. Like they're all into business, stuff like that, and definitely more into their health and nature. Up here, it's more of like a city vibe.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. So there's a little more health consciousness in Sun Valley versus Boise.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, it's so funny you say there's a lot more diversity in Boise. I moved here from Atlanta. So to me, when I think about diversity in Boise, I think, yeah, there's old white people, there's middle-aged white people, and there's young white people in Boise. That's about as much diversity. I'm just kidding, guys. Boise is actually growing quite a bit and it's becoming somewhat more diverse, but coming from a different part of the country that is really, really a melting pot, to me it still feels fairly homogenous. But it is such a cool city, guys. If you haven't had a chance to come to Boise, come check it out. We got a lot of really cool stuff to do. So, well, thanks so much for kind of sharing a little bit on your background. Is there anything else that you feel like my viewers should know about you, Artemis, before we actually kind of get into your wild night story?
Um, I don't think so. I think that's about it.
That's it. Okay, cool. Well, now we got the big question. Would you go ahead and kind of set the scene for your wildest night out?
Oh goodness. Well, so I guess one thing I probably should have mentioned, I grew up very, very LDS.
Okay. So when did you go, when did you essentially kind of transform out of LDS?
I would say about the age of 17,
Okay.
I kind of started exploring. Sexuality is really, really frowned upon when you're LDS.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay. So you grew up very LDS.
And so I hadn't really explored much, but the night started out, I met this really cute girl from Tinder, and I got on Tinder to make new girlfriends. Like, I
Sure.
just moved to the city. I wanted to meet some new people, make more female friends, but I'd always thought girls were so pretty. And I was just like, with the way acceptance is in 2024, like, I started to question, I'm like, what would her lips feel like?
And let's keep in mind too. I know you said you broke out of LDS at 17. So 2024 you are 19, correct?
Correct, yeah.
Correct. So yeah, the story is taking place at 19, FYI. So I'm sorry, go ahead.
So, I started hanging out with her, and we had a fun night on the town. We partied a bit. We went to a rave. It was a lot of fun. Um, then I noticed she started touching my arm more and more. She started just looking into my eyes, and then we ended up making out on the dance floor,
Okay.
and that was my first time kissing a girl.
So can you kind of compare and contrast the build up, not even so much the kiss, but if you think about your experience kissing guys before that, it sounds like there was so much build up to that kiss and like she had touched your arm, she had looked really deeply into your eyes. It seems like the mood was already at like a heightened state. In the past, was it like that with guys, or was it more of like a caveman type thing where they like grunted at you and like pulled you in and awkwardly tried to kiss you?
Well, that's definitely the experience I've seen from some men. I mean, obviously everybody's different, but I girls scare me. Guys do not. I'd say is the difference. Like girls are so pretty, they're gorgeous, they're feminine, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just want to be around them. Whereas guys do have an appeal, but I mean, I grew up with guys, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I feel like I didn't really know how to feel about her trying to kiss me. And so there was also that buildup of excitement, me not knowing what was going on exactly.
Interesting.
And I was way more
Interesting.
nervous.
Well, it's so funny that you say like women are beautiful, like objectively. I feel like whether you're a heterosexual woman, a gay woman, a bisexual woman, you can look at another woman and be like, wow, she is just like absolutely beautiful. I feel like men are kind of like plumbers. Like we just like get jobs done. We're not beautiful. We are not works of art. We just like get some stuff done. But women are just like objectively beautiful. Okay, so you're on the dance floor. You guys have had this suspenseful kind of build up, and she kisses you, and you guys start making out. So what kind of goes on from there?
Um, we kind of just make out for a little bit. I was kind of searching inside, trying to figure out how to react to that still. But it was all mover. It was pretty much all over when she started moving her hand lower down the small of my back
Yeah.
towards on my waist. And then she started kind of touching my butt a bit, kind of giving me some let's go home cues. And I took her hand. We walked out of the dance floor and we went back to her place. We continued partying into the night with some of her friends, and some of my friends came with us as well. And then we got back to her house, and this guy opens the door.
Uh-oh. What's going on?
Turns out she had a boyfriend.
Now, did she disclose this at all? Did she hint at it? Was there anything at all that would have made you think that she has a boyfriend?
Um, Aside from the fact that she was absolutely gorgeous, no,
Okay.
I had no idea.
Yeah, okay. I'm just like, at this point in time, I'm putting myself in the guy's shoes. Could you imagine just like sending your girlfriend out? Be like, hey, instead of being like, hey, can you pick up a steak for dinner? Can you bring back another gorgeous girl for us to have fun with tonight? Put that on the grocery list, babe. So good for him. Good for him. But he opens the door, and I'm sure you're stunned.
I was stunned, and I have to correct you on that. He was stunned too because he didn't know what was going on.
Oh, wow. She was going out on her own.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So pick it up from there.
She was bi, and there had been some turmoil in their relationship. He had been doing stuff with other girls, and she essentially gave him a inadvertent middle finger and said, "Well, I'm gonna go do stuff with girls too." So we got back. He opens the door. I'm like, "Who is this?" He said, "Who is this?" We kind of just look at each other, and I'm like, I don't know how to respond to this, but
Wow, interesting. So he sees you and you see him, and it's kind of like a situation where it's like that meme where there's three Spider-Mans and they're all like pointing at each other. That's kind of like what that feels like to me. So was the guy attractive? I mean, what were your initial thoughts when you saw him?
I mean, I thought he was cute, but I'm also that type of girl that now that I realize kind of the situation of this is her boyfriend, I I kind of was just like I don't know how to feel about that. But
Yeah.
he was attractive. I mean, he wasn't ugly by any means, but
But it was kind of a situation where you were a little bit caught off guard, and it wasn't like this was a build up to like a really kind of sensual time together among three people. It was more like one person is being spiteful, the other person is being spiteful, and you're this little pawn in the middle of the game. Is that right?
yeah, I kind of did feel like a pawn at the moment, but
Yeah. So at that point, were you still kind of hoping things would go right with the girl?
oh, absolutely. I
You're like,
didn't
there
know
was
how
never
far,
a
but
moment of doubt in your mind. You were just hoping the guy leaves. Okay, so he opens the door. You're all three standing there. What happens next?
after the initial "Who's this?" she goes, "This is my boyfriend," and I'm like, "Oh, boyfriend." And I said it just like that. I'm like, "Oh." And then we step inside. They go in the other room kind of just to talk. Me and some of our other friends, we just put on a show, keep partying a little bit.
Now, what do you mean put on a show? Oh, like on the television.
Yeah, on the
Okay, all
television.
right. All right, fair enough.
Um, and they come out a few minutes later. They look a lot less stressed, but they're kind of giving me this weird look. And I'm like, why are you guys looking at me like that? Like, what's going on? Like, they just kept staring at me. Then he comes over, sits down next to me, puts his arm around me, starts flirting with me, and I'm like, what?
What's going on?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so he starts flirting with you. Where's the where's the girl at?
She was in the kitchen. She was making some food.
Making some food. Okay, so whenever you say they came out and they look a lot less stressed, do you think they just had sex?
I mean, I have no idea, but
Possibly.
possibly, yeah.
Possibly. Okay, fair enough. So they're both a lot less stressed. He puts his arm around you. At that point, are you starting to feel some degree of attraction for this guy?
Yeah. I mean, it had already been a pretty wild night. I'd partied a lot, so
Do you feel like there's a level of like attraction transference? Let me explain what I mean by that. Like you had this night where you met this really beautiful girl and you guys had really had this suspenseful build up and I'm sure like from a hormone perspective like you were really like excited and you wanted to explore kind of intimacy with this girl and then this guy swoops in, right? But like your emotional state is still already up here. Like you can't just turn that off, right? So do you think that there is some idea that like whenever your emotional state is already high, if somebody comes in and starts like talking to you, do you think they have like an easier path to like spend that time with you?
in that case, I think so.
Yeah,
I
because that's kind
also,
of like if you would have met him in a different time and setting and like your emotional state wouldn't have been so high, like high in the sense of like kind of turned on, not necessarily like chemically high. I just mean turned on. Like it could have been totally different. Yeah, I just think that's so fascinating.
yeah, I also feel like, um, at first, throughout the night, I did start kind of liking him more. He was very funny, very sweet.
Yeah.
But at first, my initial thought that popped in my head was, if I'm really nice to him, I can still get her.
You were using that guy to get to his girl.
Guilty as charged.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. That's what it sounds like. Okay, so you guys start flirting. He's got his arm around you. She's in the kitchen making some food. Did you say that there's other friends here too?
Yeah, there was a few other friends there.
Okay, like are they picking up what's going down?
No.
Just kind of partying.
Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay. So he starts flirting with you. Then what?
Um, essentially, some of the other friends just kind of kept partying. She comes back from the kitchen, sits down next to us. She puts her arm around me as well. So at that point, I'm in the middle of them.
Mm,
At that point, I'm kind of picking up on a few cues,
yeah.
and we we kept partying a little bit more, and we got some other friends to leave, and then we started watching a movie. Then we all started cuddling. And at that point, I was thinking, he's kind of cute, I guess. She's really cute, I guess. This might be a win-win for me.
Yeah.
And personality-wise, I got along with them amazing. Looks-wise, both very attractive people. So, and then we watched a couple movies. Then the girl, she grabbed me by the hand. She took me towards the bedroom. And at that point, I was kind of just like, I'm pretty sure I know like what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I was kind of trying to just tell myself like it was my first time being with three people, so I
Sure.
was really nervous. I was just like, I don't know how this is gonna work.
I don't exactly know the moving parts here, but yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, so one thing I want to pick up on too. This is kind of a trivial note, and I'm sure the audience right now is like, "Dude, why are you picking up on that? Let's hear the juicy details." But just out of curiosity, when you say you got some of the friends to leave, how did you do that? Like, were you super blunt, like, get the fuck out, guys? Or were you like, wow, starting to get tired now?
I'd say it was more the latter. It was just like, oh, I think I'm really, really tired. I started, fake yawning.
Yeah. I'm
I
sure
was
they
like,
saw right through that as you guys were like cuddled up in a,
oh yeah, and it
yeah.
wasn't just me, it was all of them, and it was their apartment, so
Yeah.
they were helping me, so it
Yeah.
worked out.
Good. Good, good, good. Okay, so you guys are going to the bedroom now. There's three of you and you're not totally sure like how this is going to work. So, it's your first time in a menage a trois, as we refer to in France. Now you go into as much or as little detail as you want to in this last portion of your story because obviously it's very private and it's totally up to you. But from there, what happens?
Um, well, the first thing I walk in, and you have to remember, little just fresh out of being Mormon girl walks into the bedroom, and I see this huge, I mean huge, box of toys on the bed.
Okay.
And I'm like, what are all of those? Because I didn't know. And then we kind of all lay down together. I'm in the middle. I start making out with the girl. And then me and the guy, we start kind of just touching each other, just having some foreplay, having some fun. They pull out some of the toys. They show me how they work. And at that point, I straight up looked up at the girl. I'm like, so how's this going to work? And I directly said that to her.
Yeah.
And she was like, hey, just let us guide you through this. Like, I'm like, okay, well, I want to explore. I want to have a good time. And she's just like, okay, well, we're going to have an amazing time tonight and just wait till you find out what we have planned for tomorrow.
Oh, wow. So what was she alluding to?
She said that we were going to go see a movie.
Oh, okay. I think I know backstage we had talked about this too. Okay, so that night ends. How would you say the night ended? I mean, was it the best experience you've had at that point
Um,
or not?
it was, let's just say it blew my mind.
I was going to say like before you even said the words, I could literally see into her eyes and her pupils were like massively dilated there. So I could tell that was a good night for you. Okay, so
Oh, yeah.
let's pick it up the next day. They're already talking big game about going to the movies. Do you go to a matinee? Do you go to like a nighttime movie? What happens the next day?
Um, so that was trying to remember. I don't remember what exactly which movie was showing, but
Sure.
we went to this little like dollar movie theater.
Okay.
I think it was either in Garden City or Boise. And I mean, we had an amazing morning. We cooked breakfast together. We had some laughs. We played Cards Against Humanity.
Okay.
Got to know each other a bit more. And then they kind of just said, let's go to the movies. But they said it in a way I'm like, what's going to happen at the movies? And I just see her, we were about to go out the door, and I just see the girl go back into her room after telling the guy, wait, I forgot something. I got to go grab something. It's not point. I'm wondering, like, what is she grabbing from her room?
Yeah.
And so we get to the movies, we get some food, some snacks, we all sit down. I'm in the middle again. They brought in this really huge blanket.
Oh, I wonder what that could be for.
I didn't know at the time. It's just this really big fluffy blanket. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess we're all staying warm.
Yeah.
And then it has a little cup holders in the middle that you can kind of put up.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, so they put the cup holders up. We kind of all start cuddling. Now, I will say it was a pretty busy movie.
Okay, that was actually going to be my question. Like I can just imagine three of you taking up like three or four seats cuddling. Like
Mhm.
is this attracting attention?
A little bit, But there were a couple people in the back row. There was I think they were another couple or something. They moved all the way towards the front. So then it was just us in the back row.
They were like, yeah, we're not here for the voyeur show.
And that had kind of taken some time for them to move, but
Okay.
after that, I just am laying down, I'm laying against the guy, and then the girl's laying on me. Then I just feel her hand like going up my leg. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, okay.
Now you know what the blanket is for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. So from there, like how far into the act do you guys go in the movie theater? I mean, is this like, do you guys have full-blown sex in the movie theater, or is this just kind of like heavy petting, fun
We went all the way.
in the movie?
Mm-hmm.
And there was this did not attract attention from like,
No, it
wow.
didn't. It was because the way we were laying, we were positioned. So I was laying down against him.
Okay.
We were doing it that way where I was laying on him, and then like she was going down on me
Wow, so
under the
you really
blanket.
were the star of the show.
No, I really was.
This
And
was
then we
your
switched
movie.
positions too.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's funny whenever you said I don't remember what movie was playing. Yeah, it makes sense.
I was a little distracted, my
You,
bad.
you were the star of the movie. So, Artemis, I'm always curious, like, with stories like this. So that's pretty wild. And the fact that, not only was it your first experience in a threesome the night before, but you had another one the next day. And it sounds like you really hit it off with this couple. So where are they now? Are you guys still like seeing each other? Was there a falling out? Like what happened?
um, there wasn't really a falling out. They were doing some work and they ended up moving to a different state.
Okay.
And I mean, we talked for a little bit, but I kind of had some stuff going on in my own life that
Yeah.
I couldn't do a relationship. And so, and much less being in a relationship with three people. Like, it was kind of a just mutual, like, we're going to have fun and then
Yeah.
we're going to, you know what I mean?
Relationships are really hard work, and trying to have a relationship with three people is like triple the amount of work. I could not imagine like having that actually work out. But the fact that you could look at it for what it was, the fact that this was just like a really fun, what, month, 2 months, just like a really fun period in your life. That's cool that you can kind of look back and see that. Were there any like was there any heartbreak at the end? I mean, were you pretty tore up whenever they moved?
Um, well, I will say all my friends call me the Ice Queen.
Oh,
So,
wow. Hashtag Ice Queen, guys. Let's get it trending.
so I wasn't, but I did get pretty close with her,
Yeah.
and she was sad, but we like I didn't hang out with them a lot. It was only a few times.
Okay.
So it was kind of just a mutual thing. She wanted me to move with them, but it just wasn't going to happen.
Yeah. 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 It's tough to like give up your life here, just kind of like on a whim, just to be in a polyamorous relationship. It's kind of a difficult thing to do. So I'm just curious, like from a psychological perspective, when you go from never being in a threesome, actually, not even so much never being in a threesome, never having been with a woman, to being in a threesome with a man and a woman, like, what made you make that jump? Was it just the fact that she was like seducing you so well, or had you kind of like noticed that you were feeling some feelings of attraction towards women and you had thought, if the opportunity presented itself, like I would jump on it? Was it premeditated or was it just totally spontaneous, I guess is what I'm asking.
Um, it was a little premeditated, maybe not in that situation, but it's also because most men really don't know how to take care of me, if you know what I mean.
Sure.
So I was like, I want it to be about me for once. Like, I want to explore, I want to learn. and I had always thought girls were super pretty. Um, and just been curious on that aspect, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that's really cool that you kind of, there is a certain degree of bravery to doing something like that. You know what I'm saying? I know it sounds cheesy, like you're brave because you hooked up with a woman, but the fact that you came from a background that I think it's safe to say is very, very restrictive of any type of sexual activity, right? The fact that you were able to kind of break out of that and not only move into a more traditional kind of sexuality, but to kind of push the boundaries on your sexuality. I think that's really unique. And yeah, it is kind of brave to do something like that. So good for you. Um, so the last kind of question I have for you, and again, I'm pretty sure I know the answer here, but I'm going to ask it anyway. If you could go back in time to that night, would you still do what you did?
1000%.
1000%. Yeah. Yeah, I totally figured so. Well, is there anything else within the story or anything about you that you'd like to share with the audience before we wrap up?
Um, all I can say is that if any of you guys do ever come to Boise, just avoid Eagle Road at all costs.
Oh my gosh, my personal hell is Eagle Road. So one last thing before we wrap up, everybody, we have some really unique stories on this show, and we have some very wild nights, but underlying a lot of the wild nights, I think there's a lot of trauma involved. Now, not necessarily in this story. This is kind of like the happy-go-lucky story where everybody wins and everybody's a better person at the end. But in past stories, I know there has been a lot of trauma and kind of mental health challenges involved. So if you yourself, a family member, somebody if you're really struggling with your mental health, I want you to check out NAMI. There is a crisis line that you can call into and get help. I'm going to have the link in the description. So definitely check that out if you're struggling with your mental health or somebody is struggling with your mental health. So with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. Thank you so much, Artemis. You've been a great guest. Really, really proud of you. And we'll see you next time, everybody. Peace.